around. Oh! That's crazy. Welcome to Drink With Me, the show where I sit down with the people who shape the restaurant world. From chefs to mixologists to servers to owners, everyone who makes food and hospitality come to life. Who am I here with today?
Chef Matt Conley of Touché.
And what do you do at Touché, Matt?
I'm the sous chef.
All right, so let's start with something easy. What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Simple, middle of the day, easy. Okay, so before we get into your current work, take me back. What first drew you into the kitchen?
It was an accessible job, honestly. Like that was the easiest thing. It's like I think I started when I was 14 or 15, and the people that were hiring 15-year-olds were kitchens, restaurants.
So you didn't have any like crazy passion for food to begin with?
No, not at all.
Would you say that like grew over the years?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so how would you describe your journey from those early days being 15 in the kitchen to becoming a sous chef at a wine bar in downtown Syracuse?
Well, starting out as, a dishwasher and a prep cook at 15 years old, it just kind of progressed naturally. Starting out in restaurants, those were the jobs that I gravitated towards as I was like aging and in high school and college, and serving is quick cash. It's pretty easy. Serving's not easy. The money is relatively easy. So that's what I did in college. It was a lot of front of the house work, and then I just continued landing in kitchens as they were like the most available jobs and the easiest to get into anytime I needed a job.
What's the most fundamental difference you've found between working front of house versus working back of house?
Time management, I think, and organization. Not that you don't have to be organized in the front of the house, but I think the back of the house requires a lot more efficiency in terms of managing your time and your activities. It's a lot more detailed. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more moving parts, and there is a time crunch.
Fine dining, working in fine dining, it can feel like an art and a science. How do you balance creativity with consistency?
Oh, it's all creativity. I think consistency is in technique and execution of technique. Fortunately, what we do here currently at Touché doesn't require a lot of consistency in terms of like recipe development and recipe adherence, because we change our menu every other week. It's kind of beneficial, and we can kind of make something, be really pleased with it, and then move on from it without having to necessarily replicate it. So yeah, I think it's a lot of creativity. It's a lot of creativity based on fundamental technique.
So where does that creativity come from? Are you always trying new things, or are you focusing more on the techniques and then working the flavors around that?
I think the creativity, I'm naturally a creative person, so I think some of it is innate, but I think a lot of my take on cuisine or on food in general comes from the fact that I didn't go to culinary school, so I don't have a lot of traditional like boundaries and structure to the way that I do things. So over the course of my career, I've just kind of learned ingredients and skills and techniques, and have gained enough experience working with all of these things that I can just kind of freely, like spitball with the things that I do. So like the creativity kind of comes innate, but it's also, I think I benefit from not having a traditional education within the field.
Okay, so since we're talking about you not having a traditional education, not going to culinary school, where do you attribute most of everything you know about fine dining cuisine? Because it is such an advanced craft.
Experience. Fine dining really started in Old Forge for me. I worked for a chef 3.5 years, give or take, in like a casual fine dining spot, and that was really kind of like the kickoff for gaining some like experience and exposure to ingredients I'd never seen before, different types of vegetables, different types of like just everything that there is to do within a kitchen. I learned more about, and in a more advanced fashion there. And then moving to Syracuse, I've had the opportunity to work for a couple of, from my perspective, pretty talented individuals that have further refined technique and further added to like the arsenal of ingredients and techniques and stuff like that. So it's really just years of on-the-job, hands-on experience that's like led to being able to do this.
What was your favorite restaurant that you've ever worked in?
Five Corners Cafe in Old Forge, flat out.
And why?
Well, it's my sensei chef. Like Paul Rivet and his wife Kathy were the ones that like ushered me into really understanding what it is a restaurant is about, just top down, in terms of providing, outstanding service, treating guests and call them customers, but treating your guests with like care and as family, and staff with care and as family, and respecting the food and respecting the craft, while also like not taking it too seriously. And they kind of really just helped develop this solid foundation to continue to like progress. And so for me, it's like, that's a no-brainer. Like, Paul officiated my wedding, you know, it's like that serious.
Is there a trend in the restaurant or culinary world that you dislike for any particular reason, and why would that be?
Disingenuous activity. I mean, no specific trend, but the inability to own up to the identity of what it is that you're doing. I think a lot of restaurants claim things that aren't actually real. And to me, that kind of, I know that I'm an insider because I work in the industry, but to me that kind of takes away from the integrity of what it is we do. So for me, there's a lot of integrity in being able to say, like, I know where my vegetables come from. I know where the proteins that we work with come from. I know where the eggs come from. I know where the milk comes from, you know, and I'm proud to be able to say those things honestly and not market otherwise. It's not that other people utilizing other, you know, larger, you know, channels of distribution is a bad thing, but marketing it as such, I don't necessarily agree with. And the same can be said about anything that's like, you know, you call something homemade, and if it's not homemade, it's just like the disingenuine nature of, that's really pretty common within the industry, that's ultimately just marketing, is kind of a big deal in my mind.
If you could cook one meal for anyone, living or dead, who would it be and why? Anyone.
Yeah, anyone. The like loyal husband in me wants to say my wife.
That's a great answer.
Like, that's the first place that I go, is like, I would like to cook for my wife, just because I like to cook for my wife, and you know, she's supportive to the point where I can't really do any wrong. You know, like, I can't cook food for her and her not think it's the best thing that she's eaten, which is great. So yeah, I mean, I'd say my wife. And
that's a good answer.
She's my wife, you know, like, it is what it is.
Okay, so Matt has a daughter on the way, which is super exciting. Is there anything that you're excited to show her about the restaurant world? A meal that you're excited to cook for her? Is she just gonna be having dino nuggets? What do you think?
Oh man, I'm a vegetarian, so like there's been this ongoing like narrative between my wife and I where we're discussing like how we're gonna raise our daughter. You know, are we gonna, like, I am vegetarian for a multitude of reasons and a multitude of non-reasons. Some of them are, you know, faith oriented. Most of them are just kind of like happenstance. So for me, there's a little bit more importance behind why I would like to go that route. However, I respect my wife and I respect her direction as well. So we have no idea. I think that I would just like to try and like start fresh and help teach my daughter how to eat in just like bare minimum, like in a more natural way. You know, like I think that I grew up on a lot of processed foods, as we all did, and as people still do. And I think I would like to try and make an effort to, you know, raise her to understand like what it means to eat just real food.
What advice would you give to young chefs trying to make their mark, not just in the kitchen, but in the industry?
Oh man, keep your head down. You don't know it all. Like, period. It is what it is. Like,
period.
You know, there are young chefs that have outstanding skills for their age and place in the industry. But with that being said, like, the only way to really grow and to advance in the industry is flat out by gaining experience. And you gain experience best through other people that have had experience prior to you. You know, it helps hands-on, but it helps to listen and to respect and pay attention to chefs that have been there, done that, learned, failed, succeeded, all these things.
Where do you see your career headed in the kitchen?
Ah, man, I've been trying to become a stay-at-home dad for the longest time, and this is becoming more and more real as, you know, my daughter gets closer and closer to, you know, coming. Realistically, I have no idea. My long-term goals, my like vision hasn't really ever included any sort of career or business oriented thing. It's always been like related to where I see myself as as a family man, like with my family. The more important things to me are like, what does my home life look like? And whatever the industry, I honestly feel like I've just kind of been like carried by the industry. The industry's put me in places that, I never thought that I'd be, has like brought me to levels that I never expected to be at. And so at this point, to say that I have these like goals or that I have these expectations as to where I'll be in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I have no idea. So ultimately it's just like, I'm just here for the ride, and I just keep doing what I do, and that's it.
That's a great answer, Matt. Okay, well, I appreciate you sitting down with me. Here is to Food Connection and the people who make it all happen. Cheers.